Hello YouTube, and how you all doing? I am the Mac, and welcome to another session of the TCG Enterprise, where we talk about all your favorite card games. So you guys, I finally had done it. I reprised my very first deck. Yeah, back in the day, at least about a decade or so ago, I brought back in for Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, granted, everybody has their very first deck. Well, my very first deck was actually Zombies. With that being said, I had my very first deck, which was obviously Yugi's deck. But, I mean, you guys have already seen that. And if you guys have not seen that yet, feel free to go and check it back out. There's a few videos back ahead, and you guys could go ahead and check out the Yugi anime deck profile that I have. And speaking of which, if you guys want to see more anime deck profiles, go ahead and comment down below. Or just go ahead and check out for more. And just I'll go ahead and get some more decks coming through. So, but anyways, this is my first deck. Back in 2009, 2010 is when I started back into Yu-Gi-Oh! After the longest time. And I didn't really have much to work with, so my buddy just gave me a whole bunch of stuff to work with, and I built it in from there. So let's go ahead and get on into it. So we have 3 Zombie Masters. So Zombie Master is literally one of the best zombies that you could think of, and this actually came around lot longer than most that you see right now with, you know, of course, your Eldritch and with your Balrog combos with the Banshee and the Death Bloom and all those kind of things. This is well before all of that. So we have our 3 Zombie Masters. The Zombie Master, the once per turn, send the 1 monster from the graveyard, and then special summon the level 4 or lower zombie monster from either player's graveyard. And then, of course, we had 3 Pyramid Turtle. If you guys are just tuning in right now, welcome. And if you guys are wondering, what the heck is he running? Well, I'm running my very first deck. This is my very first deck. And to be perfectly honest, I know it's not meta. It's not supposed to be. This is how I ran it all the way back in the day. Back when life points kind of mattered. At the same time, links were not a thing. And it was just straight fusions and synchros. And exceeds weren't exactly a thing at the time until a couple of years later or so. But anyways, yeah. So 3 Pyramid Turtle. This was our searchers for everything. Gets you something out for 2,000 defense or less, which is really good. Poison Mummy. Yeah, I ran Poison Mummy. 3 Poison Mummies to be exact, because like I said, at the time, life points were crucial because you weren't synchro summoning, you weren't exceed summoning, you weren't pendulum summoning, and you were not link summoning. You were just basically just burning out your opponent for 500 each. And then you just go ahead and just have it be a dud to go ahead and protect your life points as a defense maneuver. Yes, people actually run things in defense mode back then. If you guys haven't seen that, go watch the show. And then 3 Goblin Zombie. This is really old school. Goblin Zombie was great because I could basically filter out the deck with the Goblin Zombies. And then if it made contact with your opponent, then they would have to basically pitch out for 1 card from the top of their deck. So basically dump out for 1 top card of their deck to the graveyard, which is really good. And then it searches each other out to filter out the deck. 1 Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. Now I know a lot of people are like, wait, but that's pretty much for Mayakashi. Well, yeah, technically. But at the time, I ran this, and it basically mailed out my opponent pretty nicely. It had a collation of things that I wanted to have ran with this deck. So that's basically what it did. It mail out my opponent, filter out, and get a bunch of beat sticks out and hit hard. Shundoji. This one was one of the best ones that I got, especially when it came out into the Stardust Overdrive. It's one of the best ones that I made all of my buddies jealous. Basically what it has 2 effects. Once per turn, you can activate 1 of these effects. Remove from play 2 zombie monsters from the graveyard to draw 1 card. And at the time, draw power was very crucial for every deck. And then at the same time, you can select and return 1 of your remove from play zombies monsters to the top of your deck. So then that way, a lot of your zombies don't end up going away, and you can still use them for your benefit. 1 Vampire Lady. Yeah, it's Vampire Lady. Basically, you can target out for a monster spell or trap, and your opponent sends that to the graveyard when it makes contact. Which is also why I ran one of the best vampires that I know of, and literally one of my favorite vampires is Vampire Lord. Does the exact same thing. And then if he ends up getting hit, he can come back, which was really good back then. And then I had my little standoff lockdown combo. So I had, of course, Spirit Reaper, which can't be destroyed. And then if it gets targeted, then it gets destroyed. But nonetheless, it was basically used out as a wall because I also had Patrician of Darkness. And Patrician of Darkness basically said, okay, target one for this. And basically that's your lockdown right there. Because Patrician would target for Spirit Reaper. You can't hit Patrician. You have to hit Spirit Reaper. And that's the lockdown. So that actually helped out fairly nicely. 2 Ryogoki. Ryogoki was awesome. And then if the monster that this monster battled with was either a spellcaster or a warrior, destroy the monster at the end of the damage step. So if you're basically going up, and even though this is a 24 beat stick, basically let's say you attack Magician of Black Chaos, obviously the ritual, because at the time Magician of Chaos was banned. Yes, he was actually banned at one point. Anyways, let's say you had attacked this, or even Dark Magician for that matter. Let's say they attacked Dark Magician. Well, you'll go ahead and lose a little bit of life points, but at the end of the damage step, if they didn't have a response for that, then you basically just killed one of their strongest monsters. Then I ran 1 Red Eye Zombie Dragon, one of the really, really good ones. This was easily searched out by Pyramid Turtle. Pyramid Turtle basically searches anything into this deck. You contribute summon this card in face-up attack position by attributing 1 monster that's a zombie that you control. When this card destroys a zombie monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can special summon it onto your side of the field. So that basically built up your army to use against your opponent, especially if you were using their own monsters against them. That always had a major factor. Dark Death Spirit, one of the best ones I've ever seen, and this one was very crucial at the time to have in any kind of OG zombie deck. Cannot be special summoned, but when this card returns to the owner's hand at the end phase, and if it got normal summon or flip face up, if it is normal summon or flip face up, destroy all face up monsters onto the field except for this card. So that was really crucial at the time to basically field wipe your whole opponent, and then that way if you had something small or whatever not, you could hit out with either a vampire, or you could hit out with one of the goblin zombies and then mill out your opponent, and that was basically the main functioning of the deck. One that I kind of used a little bit but not too much was the Despair from the Dark. This card is sent directly from your hand or the deck to the graveyard by your opponent's card effect. You can special summon this card to your side of the field. The only reason why this was really good because its stats was really good. 28 by 3000. I mean, that's a really good stat set, at least for these kind of beat stick monsters back in the day. On towards our spells. The spells were pretty self-explanatory, although there are a little bit of an oddball in here, so please don't judge me, and if you do, well, look in the mirror. Anyways, so we're going to be going with 3 Zombie Worlds, and Zombie World was one of the best cards, and is still one of the best cards in the game. It basically renders the field and the graveyards in your favor. It basically targets your opponent's monsters on the field and in their graveyard, turns them into zombies, so you could basically take them away from your opponent, which was really good. Then we had 2 Book of Life. Book of Life was one of the best ones because it brought back your zombies, and pretty much you could remove from play one monster from your opponent's graveyard from play, which was really good because you could basically just target out for one and they can't bring it back, especially if it's something they really wanted to have back again. Call of the Mummy was always good. Call of the Mummy basically allows you to Cyber Dragon your stuff. If there's no monster on your side of the field, special summon a zombie from your hand. You can only use it once per turn. The best thing about this is that because you could special summon, you could bring this out for free and not have to tribute out for it. So, I mean, you could basically special summon out from your hand. So that was always good to use that to save for the very least. One Monster Reborn. Back then, we could actually use Monster Reborn. I mean, it got banned at one point, but then you could run it again, which was nice. So I had actually updated the deck at the time when I had it, and I did use Monster Reborn, so that was always nice to have. Swords of Revealing Light. Back then, people used Swords of Revealing Light. Swords of Revealing Light basically stalls out for 3 turns, so your opponent cannot attack you, which was very good because then, because back then attacking was definitely a thing, much more than burn damage, more than destruction and everything like that. It was just straight up beat down, everybody attacking everybody and just reducing out the life points like that. Back in the good old day. 2 cards that I had as far as a discarding effect, which was really good. I had Tribute to the Doomed and Lightning Vortex. Tribute to the Doomed, target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it by discarding a card. As far as cost goes, and then the same thing with the Lightning Vortex, destroys all the monsters that are face up on your opponent's side of the field, which is good. 2 MST. Yes, I ran Mystical Space Typhoon. I know a lot of people are like, wait, why not Twister? Why not Twin Twister? Well, back then, Twin Twister wasn't a thing, and neither was Lightning Storm, so surprise. Anyways, yes, Mystical Space Typhoon, and we didn't even have Harpy's Feather Duster back then. It was still banned, so... Anyway, so Mystical Space Typhoon was basically the key card to go ahead and have a lot of things get popped. This was basically your spot removal that you needed in right away to go ahead and get all your stuff. So that way you don't get targeted by spells and traps. So that helped out nicely, especially if you're going up against a lot of field spells. As far as traps go, Mirror Force. So yeah, Mirror Force. One of the best traps, at least back then. Was very crucial. Everybody had a Mirror Force in their deck. Everybody. Now, not so much, unless you're just running a Mirror Force deck. But pretty much, Mirror Force was one of the best traps. Destroys all attack position monsters your opponent controls. Doesn't matter if they were attacking or not. Either way, still destroys all of them, which was really, really nice. Widespread Ruin. It's one of the best cards too. Back in the day. Activate only when your opponent's monster declares an attack. Destroy 1 attack position monster your opponent controls with the highest attack. So that was really good too, especially if you were going up against a Blue Eyes, or if you're going up against a Blue Eyes Ultimate. You could go ahead and just hit one of those, and then you got it made. Raigeki Break. Raigeki Break was really good because at the time, we did not have Raigeki. We did not. It was banned. So we used Raigeki Break. And basically did kind of the minor version of Raigeki. Discard 1 card, target 1 card in the field, and destroy it. So that actually helped out a lot, because that way we can basically hit whatever we wanted. Monster, spell, or trap, didn't matter what it was, we could still hit it. Robin Zombie. This one worked well hand in hand with the Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. Each time an opponent's monster in the field declares battle damage to your opponent, life points, and your opponent sends 1 card from the top of their deck to the graveyard. So this helped out with the Goblin Zombie, this helped out with the Soul Absorbing Bone Tower. Basically mailed out your opponent. Call the Haunted. Call the Haunted was always good to have. I always enjoyed having Call the Haunted. It basically replenished itself out. Back then when we couldn't really have Monster Reborn, but when Monster Reborn did come back, then we utilized it completely, and then we had basically double our efforts. So that's where that came in. Divine Wrath. Literally one of the best, if not the best. I'm telling you. Basically, discard 1 card from the hand, negate the activation of an effect monster's effect, and destroy that effect monster. Now, granted, it didn't help with monsters that were normal types, but it also helped out at the time, back when, Geminis started becoming a thing, and everything like that, and they turned into effect monsters, that you could basically Divine Wrath them, and then they wouldn't be able to go off. Especially for Gigaplant, which back then plants were definitely a thing. And then finally, Titan Mask. Titan Mask was definitely good, at least for this deck. Negate the activation of the effects of a spell, or, well, it says magic card, but back then the magic card got switched over to spell. But in any case, magic or trap card, or spell or trap card that specifically designates up 1 face-up monster that's a zombie type, that designated it as a target, and destroy it. So, not bad of a deck, honestly, if I do say so myself. Back then, that's how we ran things, and honestly, I could definitely say that the way that we had this deck back in the day, it was always fun to have. And honestly, it was literally just the bee's knees. It was literally the deck that everybody hated facing against me with until Synchro started coming a thing. And then everything else just started to pull itself in and just started pulling through and just started being really, really nasty. So that's pretty much the deck, you guys. I know it's not really much, and hey, it's not up to par with today's meta standards, but hey, I don't care. It's my first deck that I actually really came back to back when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And if you guys want to see other old school decks that I ran, I'm more than happy to go ahead and show off to you guys. And I believe that those will be really a lot of fun. If you guys like this video here, please show your support by liking the video and subscribe. Also hit the post notification bell so the algorithm will go up. And at the same time, people will get noticed out for this video. That way we can get more videos up, get some more content, which is always nice. So, but thank you everybody, and hope to see you guys out for more videos. And take care, stay safe, happy gaming.